Dignitas versus Tides of Time from Cloud9. And this would be a pretty big win for Team Dignitas. Team Dignitas, of course, having a little bit of a bad weekend with Neyman getting permabanned and departing the team, being released from his contract. Quite rightly, no, it's not Dignitas' fault. It's nothing they could do, but it would be really good, I think, for Chakki to get a win for the team to maybe boost the morale a little bit and end this weekend on a high note.
Okay. I was going to say, I didn't know Tides of Time was Swedish, but his flag has actually changed to
we
the
fixed
American
it.
flag. I know he's actually spent some time in Sweden recently, but he said it. I don't know. Yeah.
Inside information.
It's not really inside information. It was public. He streamed from Sweden, so.
Okay. Was that when he was there for a VIA game?
No. Well, I guess
he was there. I think he was there for VIA game, and then either went really early or he stayed afterwards.
Yeah. But it is changed to American flag. So right off the bat, this is actually a decent hand for Chakki. He just needs a prep because he's gonna need to refill his hand. He has some burst. He has the backstabs to be able to deal with early creatures, and dealing with the Haunted Creeper early on, and forcing your opponent to have something on turn 2 in order to keep the momentum is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, Tides of Time starting with the emotes here. He's got the Animal Companion, the Wolf Riders, so lots of options. It's not really a great pickup because Chakki does have ways to deal with that.
Not really any clean ways. He can backstab, dagger up, deadly poison, but he's still taking 4 damage. It's just about the same as Hunter in that regard, or the same as Huffer in that regard. Either way, it would have gotten backstab. Just this way, he has to use the deadly poison as well to take it out. So, in the end, this ends up being a little bit better, except in the case of Sap.
Yeah, I like the Sap. I think it's what he needed to do. And I think he's just going to coin refresh the dagger here. Keeping that dagger fresh at all times is really, really important in pretty much any matchup with the Royal Rogue, but specifically in this matchup. He needs to be able to drop those deadly poisons and oils at any moment. Well, there's the prep, so he could just go for prep sprint here. I'm trying to see what Tides of Time is writing on his pad there. It's a little bit dark. Needs to wait till it's his turn. But this is a difficult turn for Chakki. He could prep the sprint for 4 mana, which is always good to prep out that sprint, but yeah, he's going to go for the Tinker's All to trade, and that's obviously better than using the Deadly Poison, but it is some pretty crucial resources he's using up here.
I want Tides to make the same face that was in the still picture that we saw earlier. That would really make my day. Someone needs to tweet at him or call him up and tell him to do that.
Well, yeah, so if someone gets on that, we'll pay attention to the actual games.
I will give you 5 packs.
Only 5. Well, you don't have many to spare, obviously.
Whoa, only 5? Man.
How much is 5 packs worth to you?
A lot. Even 1 pack is worth a lot for me. Oh man, wow! I didn't even notice. Chakki picks up the prep as well. So right now he's got initiative on board. He's got prep sprint to follow up and draw into some more burst. The one bad thing though is that he has stabilized, but he's already at 12 health. And Tides has lots of burst remaining in his hand, so
he hasn't drawn any of his heals so far.
Yeah, well, I think his only heal is Earthen Ring Farseer. We haven't seen any anti-heal bots yet, unless
That's true.
We just haven't gotten to the point or far enough into the deck where we've been able to see anti-heal bots, but it seems like Earthen Ring Farseer is his only heal.
So he can prep Fan here. It's actually not a bad response.
I like Blade Flurry. Because he needs to start putting on damage. He can't just play damage control here. He has to be aggressive as well.
Yeah.
Prep Blade Flurry, dagger up, might be the best choice. But it looks like he's going to prep Van, and then he's still going to have an opportunity to use this here. I'm not sure if I agree with not using Blade Flurry, if only because he's already at 12 health. He's not going to find time to use both Blade Flurries, but I guess he valued drawing over, but that is going to be game. That's exactly 12 damage with Leroy and Quick Shot. Quick one, and that's usually how it goes against Rogue. It's a really tough matchup, but TidesofTime's going to take game 1.
All right, well, the Face Hunter's locked out for Tides now. He is going up to a 1-0 lead, and Chakki is going to have to win another game with his Rogue later on. He may keep going with his Rogue. I think it may run into the Warrior, and that could be a problem, but there are quite a few of his matchups that are a problem against Warrior, so he may just keep going with this Rogue and see if he can get a win. It would be a pretty good matchup against Druid, I think.
Yeah.
And against the Warlock, it's not too bad either.
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad.
Not too great, but not too bad.
Well, it's actually... We've seen Druids have actually pretty decent starts against Face Hunters so far this tournament. We're talking about the Rogue.
I was talking about the Rogue versus the Warlock.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I got it mixed up. Rogue, yeah. Rogue is just decent. It's usually about, I'd call it close to a 50-50, maybe 55 in favor of the Rogue. Midrange Hunter is a lot better than Ramp Hunter when it comes to beating War Rogue because they can put on a lot of pressure earlier.
Face Hunter, of course, rather than Ramp Hunter.
Yeah. I'm just all mixed up. Oh my God.
You're all in a tizzy here, TJ.
Yeah.
The Chakki's actually going to switch to his Freeze Mage, and Tides...
that means.
Tides is going to his Warlock. The Freeze Mage, Chakki... And this is another thing, that with that Mill Druid, Chakki needs to go in with the Freeze Mage pretty quickly. And this is not a bad matchup to get that win.
No, this is probably the matchup that we've seen the most thus far this weekend. Is the Freeze Mage versus Zoo Warlock, because nearly every player has brought both of those decks. So it's actually pretty likely that is the most we've seen, and it's actually gone pretty even, I'd say. It all depends.
I don't think we've seen a single player without either Freeze Mage or Zoo.
Yeah.
Tides is not happy he queued into that.
Yeah.
The Explosive Sheep is actually good in the opening hand for Chakki here. He may well hold on to that.
And Chakki's deck seems actually pretty well teched against Zoo Warlocks as well, because he does have Explosive Sheep. Also, Chakki has an anti-heal bot, which is a little bit of extra heal to make it so that you can put the Warlock a little bit out of block poppage range. Yeah,
I really like this Freeze Mage against Zoo. It's a little bit... Obviously, the Explosive Sheep can be a little bit problematic against things like in Gang Boss, but it can work it okay. I think it can definitely clear a big board. Like if an Implosion turn comes down and your opponent rolls 4 on like a Mad Scientist or something, you can use the Explosive Sheep to clear up. So it could be a very useful piece of tech, and it's good for him to have it early on, so he can be flexible when he uses it. The early block as well, very, very important for Chakki to have, so he can play his block. He's going to be looking for a safe turn to play that really as soon as possible.
I don't know if having Ice Block that early is actually good. Usually Ice Block in your early hand is pretty terrible. He's unless he's put under way too much pressure, you'd almost always rather that be an Arcane Intellect, or an Ice Barrier, or a Mad Scientist.
Yeah, I mean, I just like having it against aggro, because being able to play your blocks being able to control when you play your blocks is just super important in this matchup. So being able to have the first one out and then some way of getting the second one when your opponent threatens block poppage can be pretty important. Being able to try and manipulate their damage so that they run out of steam a little bit and can't pop the second block, or you have the burn to beat them at that point. It's kind of difficult. I mean, Freeze Mage, in a lot of sense, there's like 15 cards in the deck you probably want to have to play whenever you want them, rather than having to wait to draw them. It's kind of how card games work.
Yeah.
He's looking at the Frostbolt here for the Knife Juggler, and I don't hate this. I think using up the burn it's not great, but I think you have to take this Knife Juggler off the board, just because, particularly with the aim Gang Boss, it can start to cause so much damage.
Yeah. Well, Tides actually has a pretty decent hand to be able to win this game. Just because he has Ironbeak Owl and Mal'Ganis. Those are like the two key cards that you almost absolutely have to have in order to beat Freeze Mage in this matchup. Because Owl can deal with Doomsayer, and Mal'Ganis could make it so you put a wrench in whatever sort of lethal plans your Freeze Mage opponent is setting up. And he does have both of those, so... See, the hand for Chakki just isn't that good. He's got Frost Nova, but he doesn't have any ways to immediately clear. He has Flame Strike and Explosive Sheet, but he doesn't have a way to refill his hand once he uses all of his burn.
Yeah, Chakki's actually already played against basically this exact matchup against Jab. I think it was game 3 of the Chakki Jab series, where Chakki had the burn in hand and started to put his burn across 2 turns, and then Jab was able to drop the Mal'Ganis, and Chakki didn't have enough burn to beat the Mal'Ganis and kill his opponent.
So he's going to have to ping the egg over 2 turns.
Oh, but then the Defender of Argus comes down.
Yeah.
That ruins his plans of Flame Strike 2 turns from now.
Mm-hmm. Chakki just keeps... His face just keeps inching closer and closer to his camera. He's... As we say yesterday, he's like a snake in the grass waiting to attack those eggs. It's like, when's the right moment to strike and eat those colorful, delicious eggs?
Snake in the grass.
My name is Big Sock Chalk, and I am a snake.
Is that your Chakki impression?
Yeah. Look at him, he's just like, what's the best way to go about wrapping my slimy snake body around these eggs?
Oh, God. I don't want to know about Chakki's slimy snake body. I mean, I know you spent some time with him in the Legendary series, but you keep those stories to yourself. So he's going for the Frost Nova here into the Doomsayer. It's not great because the Nerubian does come down, but he has Flame Strike. But there's an Owl.
Yep, and that's why I said one of the most important cards in this matchup is having that Owl early on to protect your first hurrah, your first board. And he's able to put out a really big threat in the Sea Giant as well.
Yeah, this feels pretty rough here for Chakki.
Flame Strike almost does nothing.
Yeah, pretty much.
You take out the Owl, and you're taking away 5 power, but you're putting 5 power on the board because you'll put the Nerubian Egg plus 1 Imp from the Imp Gang Boss. So Flame Strike literally does nothing. Flame Strike could have you in a better position to set up for an Explosive Sheep the following turn, but oh man, this is rough.
Yeah, I think his only play here is to Explosive Sheep and then Ice Lance the Giant. That's the best way to reduce damage, but this is really bad.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's what he's going to do.
Oh man.
This feels really bad for Chakki, though. This is a really bad position. Dr. Boom can come down.
Yikes.
Mal'Ganis. Double Implosion. Tides just has so many ways to fill his board.
Yeah. Well, he's gonna miss out on a boom bot here, unless he sacrifices in one of these creatures, which is definitely possible. He might just ignore it. Here we go. He's gonna proc it. This is gonna make Flame Strike just a little bit stronger because it'll take out nearly everything. It's just the Sea Giant will be able to get another hit because that Sea Giant, I believe, still is at 5 health.
Yeah. So Sea Giant, Dr. Boom, and an Imp will survive. That's the one good thing that this silenced Doomsayer is good for, is soaking up bomb hits.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean... Yeah, sure. That's correct.
It's the only thing it's good for. So if it takes a bomb to the face, Chakki will feel a little bit better about it, but otherwise, that Doomsayer, it'll be in trouble. It's getting sacked.
Yeah.
But I think Flame Strike is the only play here. But then there's still going to be 15 power on the board. He's going to be able to... just think he's not actually going to be able to pop the block.
Doomsayer did absorb 3 damage.
There you go.
There's a possibility that 3 damage might be of consequence. So we'll have to see later on in the game if Tides is 3 damage away, or anything less than 3 damage away from popping that block, and that Doomsayer ended up becoming MVP.
Yeah, so that Sea Giant basically just... Ooh. Nope, not enough to pop the block.
Not quite.
So
But
the Sea Giant basically just trades with the Ice Barrier. He's going to Implosion and just fill his board here, since he's already seen Flame Strike.
yeah,
So puts the big suck Chuck to 6.
Arcane Intellect is probably about the best thing he could have drawn at this point, just because he needs more than one answer if he's going to want to win the game.
Oh,
Second block doesn't really do much. It just delays the inevitable, because he doesn't have a way to stall out or do anything past the ice block. So, probably he needs to Emperor Thorsan here. Ah, man, that's so tough.
yeah, he can Thorson here and then gives himself a better chance of winning, but it's hard to see where the win comes from here for Chakki, because there's just so much damage with the Mal'Ganis for the turn where he starts to burn. He's going to pop the block next turn. So the turn after that, he needs to play block, and then he would have 8 mana left.
He needs to get as many draws as possible in the next couple turns, because he needs more options. So Emperor Thorsan is just too slow at this point. He needs to get at least 2 draws from this Acolyte over the course of this turn and the following turn, if he's going to want any chance. And Tides of Time smells blood.
Yeah, he definitely does. He's going to put him really low here. He's actually going to go for the Mal'Ganis right now.
Little did you know, Snake Chakki, Tides of Time was actually the mother that laid those eggs.
So we see both heroes being immune there. It's pretty exciting. See the blue around both heroes, just briefly there. So puts it into 1 as well with the Mal'Ganis. That's actually probably the main reason for playing the Mal'Ganis there, but it also is just extra insurance that there's really nothing Chakki can do.
Yeah. He has to clear off this Mal'Ganis if he wants any chance of winning. And he also has to play Ice Block. So Ice Block is going to get popped next turn. Next turn, he basically has to get Blizzard or Frost Nova. And then in 2 turns, he has to draw into enough damage to kill him.
Yeah, he can Acolyte Ping into another draw. So if he doesn't get Blizzard or Frost Nova off the top, he can Acolyte Ping into Frost Nova. It's the only way he stays alive. Anti-Healbot doesn't do it, so he's going to have to ping and hope for Frost Nova here.
He's completely out of block, so Mad Scientist won't even save him. Blizzard! He doesn't have enough mana! Oh no. And Chakki loses with the Freeze Mage, and that's bad, because he was hoping to steal a win there, because now, Tides of Time's decks, he's got Warrior and Mildruid as the only 2 decks that he needs to win.
That's really bad for Chakki.
Those 2 decks are nearly impossible for Freeze Mage to be able to take a win with. That match right there may have just decided the series, because even if he wins a couple more games, he'll never be able to. It just seems like it's so unlikely that he'll be able to find a victory against either Mildruid or Control Warrior. Really rough spot for Chakki right now.
So I think Tide should go to the Warrior here. Because I think the Warrior has good matchups against the Mage, but even if he wins that, he then has the Druid to run into the Mage, the Priest, and the Warrior. And I think the Mill Druid is actually really good against the Grim Patron Warrior, because you're trying to draw cards and get your combo pieces. It's really good against Priest, because Priest can end up being pretty slow. And yeah, I think the Mill Druid has some really good matchups here. The Rogue is probably the best matchup that Chakki has against either of these decks.
Yeah.
So that's what he's going to go for.
Oh,
so it's going to be Warrior for Tides versus Rogue for Chakki, and this is pretty in favor of the Control Warrior again.
Chakki's in trouble.
Yeah, I really like the Warrior pick here from Tides. I think it's the logical next step of his lineup, because it's so good against the Rogue, so good against the Freeze Mage, pretty good against the Priest, and has it can have a good matchup against the Grim Patron Warrior, but if you lose to the Grim Patron Warrior, it's not that big a deal. Mm-hmm. So I definitely like the Warrior pick. And
Mildruid has a lot of the same matchups, though, I think. So Tides is just overall, I don't want to say smooth sailing, because Mildruid, even in best case scenario, still takes work to sneak out wins. But Chakki is the forever second curse might just be continuing here. It just seems like these guys' deck matchups are just so in favor of Tides of Time across the board. And that one matchup, the Freeze Mage versus Warlock, the one matchup that Tides of Time wanted to dodge, he got anyway, and he won. So, big things.
Yeah, I just think Tides of Time has such a good lineup here in this final. And particularly the Mildred. The Mildred is so strong against pretty much everything except the Rogue, and it can be really good against the Rogue. So, this Mildred is looking like a better and better pick every time we think about it.
I actually think it's fantastic against Rogue. Because Rogues have a finite amount of damage. They have to hit a lot with their creatures, or else they just run out of damage. It's the same reason why Control Warrior is good. Because eventually they just run out of damage. They have removal early on. And Mildred just has that extra dimension to it, where they can also win by making you overdraw key cards. And if a rogue has to sprint early to try and find answers or something, it makes it so that there's a liability there for them to start overdrawing. But maybe we'll see that matchup later. Right now, Control Warrior versus Rogue, nearly just as tough of a matchup.
Yeah, well, he's gone for the early Edmund Van Cleef, and I do like this to put the pressure on, but that double Armor Smith is pretty cool. Pretty good here for Tides. Start building up the armor. And this is just how the Warrior wins in these matchups, isn't it? As you say, finite amount of damage that has to be chained in the right order, and if the Warrior can just heal or armor up out of range, it becomes a real problem. He's just going to tank 6 damage there. Potentially going to take 12 damage from this Van Cleef, but he just doesn't care.
Oh man, that's rough. No execute in the opening hand spells bad things. There's not really too much of a downside of playing a Van Cleef like that, but it can only be done with the coin.
Yeah. It's one of those plays you can only make as a rogue if you're on turn 2. Van Cleef isn't even in every oil rogue deck. It's kind of a flavor pick. Chakki does like to use it early if at all possible, and he has got it in his opening hand quite a few times. Mm-hmm. But he's just going to try and put power on the board here.
Yeah, he's thinking, well, if I play Paladin Shredder here, then it's most likely going to get killed by the Death Bite, and I'm going to lose a lot of power. But he's already put him at 15.
Oh, Shield Slam. So you can kill the Shredder and the Van Cleef here.
Yeah, well, he could have killed it anyway with just Cruel Taskmaster. And I think that might be a little bit better of an option. In which case, I would Cruel Taskmaster first so you get an additional armor. Yep, there you go.
Yeah. So he's going to use the Cruel Taskmaster. And, yeah. Going to build up a good amount of armor. He is pretty low here, 11 health already, but he's going to get, what, 6 armor? Yep, up to 17.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
He was hoping for a 2 attack or less target, so that way he could either ignore it and go face with his Armor Smiths, or kill it off and keep his Armor Smiths alive. But this way, he's going to have to... I think he's going to end up shield slamming the Bloodfin Raptor. Ooh, no, he trades both in. That hurts. That really hurts. But it does put him back up at 22 health, which is a pretty reasonable amount of health. He just needs to stabilize.
Yeah, he's really looking to stabilize here. And I say down to 11 health, and now he's all the way back up at 22 life. This is how the Warrior wins this matchup. Is the Rogue puts in all that damage, puts in all that early, commits so much early with that Van Cleef. Hasn't actually committed too much. He does have a lot still in the hand and does have Sprint as well. But just shows you that you can do so much damage to the Warrior. You can do, 19 damage, and then it's all basically for nothing.
Yep.
So Lotheb comes down, locks out spells, but
the 6 mana Shield Slam. Fantastic.
I think it's not bad here. I think it's a good play. It's a conservative play. He might just opt for the Shredder and armor up, but I honestly don't mind the shield slam there.
Yeah, he does have the shield block, so if his armor does get shredded, he'll still have a way to sort of activate that shield slam, which is... I guess he can take solace in that. I don't know, but it's still a reasonable spot for both players. Chakki does have a way to refill his hand. I mentioned earlier one of the ways that rogues can, or one of the main ways that warriors win is just by making the rogue run out of damage. And one of the ways that rogues can win is just by putting on damage quick enough so that the warrior can't gain as much health. And Sprint helps you do that because it increases the longevity of your hand and increases the amount of consistent damage that you can put out. So putting up a big board here, really solid. Vicious of Pain, though, it's actually really rough because that's basically like a third armor smith.
Yeah. It's going to be able to get some healing in. Sylvanas comes down. Yeah, because even just doing damage to face gets you a heal.
Exactly. It doesn't give you the armor synergy, like you can't heal above full health, but it's strictly better if you're... Not strictly better, but almost better if you're lower than 30 health. Azure Drake off the top. Ah, man. He has to sap the Sylvanas here and just start pushing for damage. Hope that Sprint draws into something next turn.
Yeah, this is really rough. And Dr. Boom in hand as well. Shield block. He's working down the armor again, but shield block could come down and just restore it straight away. Death Spite, perfect answer to an Azure Drake. This is really rough for Chakki. He's going to have to get really, really lucky with the sprint. I think we just see the Death Spite here. And, well, okay, he's going to opt for the War Axe instead, so he can armor up. Yeah, he's valuing being able to get that armor back up. Because he's running out of ways to get his armor. Blade Flurry, not a useful card right now. So we'll see what he gets off the sprint. Prep's good.
Yeah, he needs to buy himself a couple of turns here. And I do think Chakki still is in a pretty good spot. If he didn't have that sprint in his hand, the game would pretty much be over. Because imagine if right now he was just left with Fan of Knives, Backstab, Blade Flurry.
Blade Flurry.
And then prep the following turn after that. there would be almost no way for him to win with those cards. But right now, next turn, he's got Sap to get rid of a target. He can prep Oil, be able to clear a big board, and be able to put on so much damage. And Dr. Boom is usually a fantastic card against Oil Road because a lot of times, in order to deal with Dr. Boom as an Oil Road, you have to take damage. But he has spell power on the board since the Azure Drake has lived. So Backstab plus Oil, the Dr. Boom actually gets caught in the Blade Flurry. And
doesn't even need it though.
That's game.
Yeah, because he has the Tinkers and doesn't even need the Eviscerate, does he?
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, so Chakki is going to pick up a win here. In what is traditionally an unfavored matchup, so he's starting to... The fight back is on here. I think we'll see Chakki go to probably either the Priest or the Warrior here, though. Again, he needs to get a win with that Freeze Mage.
Yeah.
Before he runs into Mildred, but those are the... It's which of these two decks do you want to run your Freeze Mage into? Do you want to run into Control Warrior or Mildred?
Mildred.
Yeah.
Actually,
right.
I don't even know. Either one has probably less than 10% chance to win. Mildred, for those of you who are just now joining us, who didn't get to catch the games, or who didn't get to catch the games, Tides of Time has a Mildred deck. And the reason why it's so strong against Freeze Mage is because it runs absurd amounts of heal. It runs, I believe, double anti-heal bot, double healing touch. It also runs Cold Light Oracles, naturalizes. So what it does is, it's got a couple win conditions. One, it can force the mage to run out of damage by just healing through. Same thing with the warriors basically having like 60 effective health. The Mildred basically has 60 effective health. And since Freeze Mages have finite amounts of damage, it just makes it so that sometimes they just run out. The second win condition is Freeze Mages love to have big hands. They like to have a lot of options. Their main win conditions are drawing cards early, freezing boards in the mid game, and then using burn to win in the late game. But if you have a lot of cards, it ends up being a liability because something like double Cold Light Oracle or Cold Light Oracle Naturalize can force you to overdraw. And since cards in Freeze Mage are so important, cards like Alexstrasza, which are almost necessary for you to win the game, if one of those cards is burned, the Mildred pretty much automatically wins. So we are going to get to see it.
It seems like one of the only ways that the Freeze Mage can win this matchup is a huge Antonidas.
Yeah.
I think like just to get huge amounts of burn off the Antonidas is one of the only ways. And I say this is what we're going to see here. We are going to see the Freeze Mage versus the Mildred. I think if you're Chakki, you know that you have to beat one of these decks at some point, and you might as well just run the Freeze Mage until you get a win.
Yeah, I think the Freeze Mage has a better chance of winning because Mildreds just don't put out much pressure. He does run combo. I actually think he runs double combo, which we saw in the match in day 1. D2 wasn't expecting, and he ended up losing for it. But it's just so tough because everything you do is just negated. And you're always expecting, once you get to that turn 6, if double Cold Light Oracle comes out, you might just lose right there because you can burn 2, 3, 4 cards. And what if one of those cards is crucial?
Yeah, it is pretty important. You see Chakki playing the Ice Block as early as possible. It does mean that he's getting cards out of his hand. He does have cards he can play as well. Things like Arcane Intellect. Can even play the Explosive Sheep just to get it out. We've seen sometimes players having to just burn Frost Novas and stuff against Mildred.
But the thing is, this is why I like this matchup better than Control Warrior. If Tides doesn't draw into anything, if he doesn't draw into Cold Light Oracles, doesn't draw into Naturalizes, and doesn't draw into Heal quick enough, and Chakki's able to get out an early Alexstrasza and find the burn quick enough before Tides can find the heals, he might be able to win. Because a lot of these cards in Tides' hand are useless. Wrath, not that great. Wild Pyromancer, not that great. It's okay, but it doesn't put on much pressure. Volcanic Lumber, you're really never going to make that much cheaper just because the mage is never really going to be able to flood the board. Swipe, these are cards that you're going to use like his burst, which is really weird. He doesn't have Grove Tenders, no Cold Light Oracles, no Naturalizes yet, none of his heals yet. I think that was a mistake.
I think so, yeah. I don't think Tides is particularly happy about his decision making there.
He basically just sacrificed his Wild Pyromancer for nothing.
Yeah. He does get a Grove Tender off the Wrath.
There's Naturalize. Okay. So now he does have a way to force the mage to overdraw. If Emperor Thorsan comes out here and Naturalize comes out, that's going to be 2 cards overdrawn because he's going to be at 9. Naturalize will draw a card, burn a card, and then on the following turn he's going to burn another one.
Yeah.
So Chakki has to really think here. Chakki knows what this deck is. If he's really paying attention, he needs to play 2 spells here.
It's worth saying as well that, yeah, he's going to play the Doomsayer and the Explosive Sheep, so he's going to avoid getting
well, that protects him
too much.
Yeah, he's going to mill 1 card if Naturalize comes out. And it is. That's not too bad. That's a good heads-up play from him, because in any other matchup, you lay Emperor Thorsan there 100% of the time. But in this matchup, you want to burn your cards. So
there's no question you drop Emperor Thorsan there any other day of the week except against Mildred.
Yeah.
It's worth saying Chakki has played quite a bit of Mildred. He does know the deck quite well. So he is going to know exactly what the threats are, what the potential pitfalls are.
Here we go. This card is going to be a big deal. Whatever card is burnt, if it's Alexstrasza, there might not be a chance for Chakki to win. Ice Block.
Oh, that's really crucial. That's a really rough one. And that's really good intel for Tides as well, to know that the second Ice Block is gone.
Yeah.
He only needs to pop the one, and I don't know if that's Ice Barrier or Ice Block that Chakki has up.
The main winning condition might be Fatigue here. He does have double combo, but I'm not sure if he's going to build up a big enough board to where combo is going to be any threat. He'll be able to pop block with combo, but I don't know if he's going to be able to kill. Mage will get to Fatigue really quickly, because Mage has already lots of cards in their hand that mill through their deck quickly. They have Mad Scientists, they have Acolytes of Pain, Arcane Intellect.
Yeah, so just think he's had 2 off the Natural Eyes, 2 from the Arcane Intellect, 1 from the Mad Scientist. So he's already 5 cards deeper in his deck, right?
Something like that.
So yeah, he's gonna hit Fatigue way quicker. He puts out the anti-heal bot and only heals for something like 3, but he just needs to play multiple cards a turn to try and remove his and he'd still, if there was a Cold Light Oracle, he'd still burn a card there.
Yeah.
If there was double Cold Light Oracle, he'd burn 3 cards.
Yep.
Oh man.
So tough. Such a tough matchup.
Yes,
Chakki's played it about
5.
as best as he can so far, but cards like Acolyte of Pain may never leave his hand.
Yeah, I don't think it will. I think, and yeah, we're gonna see a Blizzard here just to kill this Grove Tender.
And Doomsayer. He's basically just throwing away this Doomsayer. It's making sure that he can't play like a big threat on this turn, like Coin Volcanic Lumber or Ancient of Lore. Did he draw? He did draw.
Yeah,
Oh, he's got 7 cards. He can't make him overdraw. Okay. He might.
That's rough.
He might naturalize anyway, just to put the pressure on, but I don't think that's the play. He doesn't really care about the body of his, Ancient of Lore at this point.
He actually needed to coin to stop himself from getting milled there.
Yeah, yeah.
And that is the problem. It actually makes Mildred quite a hard deck to play. Is there's so many opportunities for you to actually mill yourself.
All right, so Chakki is finally in a decent spot. Emperor Thorsan, now that he can play it without having to worry about being milled out. Well, you're always worried about being milled out, because if he has like Cold Light Oracle plus Naturalize, or double Cold Light Oracle Naturalize, this is about the safest turn he could possibly play Acolyte of Pain, because he only has 6 cards in his hand. Alright, let's see how he's going to go about this. Alright. Grove Tender, Starfall for 2, and Naturalize.
Yep, so Naturalize coming in on the Thorson.
Oh, man. Oh, jeez. Okay, so he's going to be at 9 cards this time. He can only make him draw 1 more card, so he can make him burn 1.
Yeah, he's just going to Hero Power it. Make him draw 1 card, as you say, burn 1. He does have the Alexstrasza in hand, so that is safe.
What card is he going to burn? Frostbolt. Oh, man. That's just more points of damage that he's just giving up. That's more points of damage that he's going to have to get through all this heal. Anti-Heal Bot, Healing Touch, already in the hand.
So what does he want to see burned here? He wants to see 2nd Arcane Intellect, 2nd Acolyte, Mad Scientist, Loot Hoarders. Those are the cards he wants to see burned. So there's maybe...
Wait a second. Okay. Okay, both Naturalizes are gone. So
yeah.
Chakki may just think here, I have to Alexstrasza and try and set up a next turn victory. Hope that he doesn't have heal. He's got the damage. He has Fireball, Frostbolt, Ice Lance. Just 16. No, he wouldn't even have the damage. He could ping as well, so that'd be exactly 16 health. He has to go for it.
Yep, that's what he's going to do. Chakki's going to go for the win here against the Mildred. This would be an epic victory if he was able to beat the Mildred with the Freeze Mage.
Yeah. All right. So this is the turn that I think determines the game. He has to find a way to deal with the board and heal. So what can he do? Healing Touch is a must. So that's 3 mana out of the way. So he has 7 mana left to work with.
Yeah, that's difficult. I mean, yeah, he needs to Healing Touch. If he Healing Touches, I mean, the only way he can deal with the Alexstrasza is what? Swipe plus Starfall. He can't do both of those and Healing Touch.
He can Poison Seeds and just leave 2 damage.
Yeah.
That might be the play.
He's actually going to make him overdraw as well.
Yep.
Gets an Innervate.
Burns the Keeper. I don't think he's really worried about that. Both Doomstick.
No.
Yeah, he can Poison Seeds and then Innervate Starfall. Oh no, he needs the Healing Touch also.
Yeah. That's fine.
Yeah. Only leaves 2 damage on the board, so I think that's about the best you can play it. He might want to Innervate Hero Power here, just to be safe. I don't think there's any combo that can do... Actually, there's combos that can do 22 damage. Oh no, not without Frostbolt. But he's thinking he did have Emperor Thorsan down for a turn. There are some big plays that you can make. Double Fireball, Frostbolt, Ice Lance with Blood Mage Thanos.
Well, he's got double Fireball, Frostbolt, double Ice Lance. So that's 23, right? Which plus the 2 from the tree is 25. So he has it.
I'm sorry.
Am I counting right? Double Fireball's 12, 15 with the Frostbolt, 8 from the 2 Ice Lances.
Exact lethal? Is that
exact lethal?
Oh
yeah.
Goodness. Oh my goodness.
And Tides knows that that's a rough match to lose. The Freeze Mage was what he really needed to target his last 2 decks.
Exact lethal while filling up all of his mana. Oh my.
Exact mana, exact lethal. Emperor Thorsan perfectly on the cards that you needed them to win. That is a huge win for Chakki. Getting the win with the Freeze Mage against the Mill Druid and the Control Warrior left from Tides, absolutely huge. And this puts Chakki as close to back in this matchup as he can.
Yeah.
But the Mill Druid is still really strong against the Priest and the Warrior, so let's not don't want to get too carried away. But seeing the Freeze Mage beat the Mill Druid, when the Mill Druid has been brought to target decks like Freeze Mage and has just cleaned up on Freeze Mages for the past 2 days,
yeah,
this is really important.
Tides has to be really disappointed in that, though. Literally, the only thing that he had to do to win that matchup was draw into Cold Lights earlier. Cold Lights and Grove Tanners earlier. He had so many dead cards in his hand for so long, and it just screwed up the matchup. That's one of those rare instances where it's just one of those rare instances. You literally have to have Alex Raza right on that turn before he can draw into too much burn or too much heal, and then kill him the next turn. That's the only way you can win, and that's exactly what Chakki did. So he took the risk. He knew his cards were going to get burned. He said, I have to Alex Raza now or I lose. And he did it. And of course, Fireball right at the end was just the icing on the cake. So I'd be upset if I was Tides of Time as well. I'm not surprised that he was pretty visibly upset after that one.
Yeah, it's just so tough to lose to that exact lethal when you healed and you thought you were going to be safe. So tough. But Chakki's going to go into the Priest here. And we're just waiting to get confirmation of what Tides is going to pick, whether he's going to go for the stick with the Mill Druid or go to the Control Warrior. Priest versus Warrior, everyone. It's possible. Get hyped. Or not hyped. Get settled. Get yourself comfortable. Make sure you got a drink at hand.
I'm actually going to reverse hyped and George Maganzini.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go get George Maganzini'd.
Oh, hit my mic stand again.
Strumming that guitar. Oh my god, that's
bad. Let's not do that.
Obscenely
So Druid for Tides, he's sticking with the Mill Druid to get the win with it here, and it's going to be going up against the Priest. And again, this is probably a good matchup for the Mill Druid, because the Priest likes to hold on to cards. It could be a slower deck. If Chakki gets a really slow start here, it could be really bad.
Okay, so Mill Druid versus Priest. I'd imagine the main win condition for the Mill Druid in this matchup is fatigue. There's just not many ways that they're going to be able to do damage. Priest just has so many effective ways to deal with whatever they have. The Volcanic Lumbers are just going to get killed by Shadow or Deaths. So...
yeah, this is... yeah, he needs to get the fatigue. He needs to burn lots of cards. He needs to get Chakki to draw as many as possible. Naturalizes are huge.
Everybody go get your Peach Snapples and strap in, get ready for a long one.
Raise your Snapples.
Yeah.
This is not going to be a quick final. Tides is actually taking a little nap here, as you can see in the mulligan phase.
Alright, so this is a lot better of a hand for Tides early on. The Cold Oracle in the opening hand is a great way to put some pressure on the Priest to start playing cards. And even if you're not milling cards, you're forcing your opponent to be a little wasteful with their cards. By forcing your opponent to play cards that they wouldn't otherwise have necessarily played on certain turns, you can force cards to be used suboptimally and then maybe later on gain an advantage from it. Ooh. Coin Powerwood Shield to remove opponent's Wall of Pyromancer. Chakki He's loving the priest. Loving the priest.
Yeah, he's got the double Cabal there, the Sludge Belcher. Picks up Thorson and Thought Steal. Does double Thought Steal here. So, yeah, but those are actually potentially a liability because you're taking out one card from your hand and replacing it with two. So he probably doesn't favor those here. He's actually going to go for one here. He burns the Circle of Healing, so he doesn't go up to 9 cards, so Cold Light won't burn anything.
Well, he also used the Circle of Healing to kill the Cold Light Oracle.
Yeah, rather than trading. Tides Wraths for 1. Picks up the Grove Tender, so can use that next turn. 1 mana off being able to Cold Light Oracle and Grove Tender.
Oh man. This is terrible. There's no way that Chakki cannot burn cards next turn. He plays Thought Steal. He trades 1 card for 2. He doesn't play anything. He's got 9 cards in his hand. Cold Light Oracle comes out next turn. He burns 2 cards. 2 cards. 1 from the second Cold Light Oracle draw and 1 from the following turn.
So rough. Well,
and he passes, and Tides is like, what is going on in his hand?
It just doesn't. Well, I mean, he didn't want to Thought Steal and didn't have anything else to play, so
all right.
He's gonna burn 2 here.
He can naturalize. Okay, I don't think he's gonna do that. That's a little bit too greedy. I was gonna say
naturalize his own Cold Light Oracle.
Naturalize his own Cold Light Oracle. Oh, Northshire Cleric. What was the first card burned?
Belcher.
Belcher. Okay, that's pretty good. So basically, what this is going to come down to is, Chakki is going to get fatigued out, and then Combo is going to kill him, and he doesn't have a Sludge Belcher to block it. Here comes the Naturalize. Oh, jeez.
Oh, no.
And so it begins.
And the Grove Tender.
He's going to overdraw 1.
Sylvanas done.
He's going to overdraw.
He's going to burn 3 here.
2.
Shrinkmeister.
And now he's going to overdraw 3 from the following turn.
That's basically a Fell Reaver.
Yeah.
Okay.
Power Word Shield. That's not too bad.
Sylvanas, Shrinkmeister, and Power Word Shield with the 3 cards there. Sylvanas is a bit of a bummer.
Power Word Shield and Northshire Cleric, I'm sure he's happy to burn, because those are just liabilities to play.
He's going to play the Cabal here, take the Grove Tender. It's a pretty good target. It's essentially a Keeper of the Grove, which is one of the highest value targets that you can get.
Mm-hmm.
Just thinking about Swipe. Try and clear this Cabal. He wants to... He does need to take the damage off the board, because as you say, Fatigue is kind of likely here.
Well, I don't think he really cares, because he has a way more heal than the Priest does. All he has to do is wait till Fatigue and then save his Healing Touch and his anti-Q bots.
And it's a little bit better than the Priest Hero Power.
Yeah, and the Priest is going to get to... The Priest has means of drawing cards for themselves. A lot more. They have Power Word Shields and Northshire Clerics, and you saw him draw a card already from Power Word Shield. So he's already, I think, 6 more cards, or 5 more cards into the deck.
I think it was 5 before the shield, so I think it's 6 now.
Yeah, so he's going to hit Fatigue way before. And even if they hit Fatigue close to the same time, Chakki would come out on top just because of the sheer amounts of heal that he has.
You mean Tides would come out on top?
Yeah, Tides, sorry. Tides would come out on top just because of the sheer amount of heal that he has.
Casted so many games. We're in fact getting fatigued. Getting milled ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember always casting the Fatigue Mage games when Fatigue Mage was popular.
No.
It's called Fatigue Mage for a reason, because everybody that's either watching, playing, or casting gets fatigued.
He's going to use the second Cabal here, just to mostly to get out of his hand. And just play the Northshire. So he's down to 8 cards. Yeah. There's not actually a lot of ways for Tides to make him draw it here. Just got Antique Heal Bot. Does have Volcanic Lumberer next turn, but a Shadow of Death in the hand for Chakki for those.
Poison Seed Starfall is most likely going to be the play for the following turn.
Yeah, if you can clear this board, Things like Sylvanas and the second Belcher are done. There's not that many threats in the hand for the priest, and those volcanic lumbers, if they can do damage, if he can get the second one out after the first one, he's the Shadow of Death.
Oh, it's gonna be like Mind Control one and Shadow of Death the other. Volcanic lumbers are just not a good card in this matchup. I think the volcanic lumbers are in there for like hunters.
Yeah, and Zoo.
Yeah, and yeah, potentially Zoo. This is. So what does he do here? Chakki's thinking, why would he anti-heal bot there and not try and clear any of my board? He's saying, okay, next turn is almost for sure going to be Poison Seed Starfall if he's been paying attention to how the deck works. So throwing away another card besides Emperor Thorsan, he doesn't want to build any more of his board just because he knows that next turn is usually going to be a combo turn to try and clear.
Yeah, and obviously sacking the North Shard before the Holy Nova is a pretty good idea. Don't want to draw 3 cards, because then you'd mill yourself. There's a second Naturalize. I thought we didn't see both the Naturalizes, so there's a second Naturalize there.
Mm-hmm.
So we saw both Naturalize in the last matchup. I'm losing track.
Yeah, so he can mill one more card here if he decides to Naturalize. Chakki is sitting at 8. Of course, he'd be at 10 at the end of the turn if Naturalize came out, and then burn a card after that. But with a reasonable board clear here in Poison Seed Starfall, he might want to save the Naturalize for something that's a little more potent. Because Naturalize is sort of just overkill here. And he's already milled him enough. It's at the point where he doesn't really care if actual cards get milled. He just wants to win with fatigue. And Naturalize might be sort of like a killing blow. It might be a turn 10 play, Force of Nature, Savage Roar, Naturalize, in order to do a little bit of extra burst than he would normally get. Yeah. Tides, okay, so we just got word that Tides has 11 cards left, and Chakki has 10.
So Tides has actually caught him up here. A little bit. He's actually going to force it. He's going to combo here rather than Poison Seed Starfall.
Wow. He does run double combo, so he will have the second as a sort of win condition. But he's waiting for the board to be a little bit scarier before he goes for that.
This is so rough. What does he want to do here? He has 9 cards.
There would actually be no way in that situation for him to play 2 cards unless he used Arcanized Soul Priest and Starfall on an empty board.
So he's got 9 here, and I think we'll probably see the Naturalize come down.
Yeah. Naturalize is going to mill a card, force him to draw 2 more. So that would put Chakki at, what, 7 cards? 7 cards remaining. He also puts out his own Emperor Thorsan. Shrinkmeister is not that big of a deal. But again, he doesn't really care about what cards he's milling at this point. He cares about how many cards he's milling.
Yeah,
he cares about
fatigue.
How close Chakki is to the bottom of his deck. Circle of Healing, again, inconsequential. Does have... he's double Starfall, so he's got ways to deal with this.
Double Starfall. Okay. We might... Yeah, he's going to mind control it.
Yeah, that's probably the smarter play.
Yeah, I mean, the health total for Tides is not looking amazing right now, and getting the Thorsan effect, of course, is pretty huge as well.
I don't think it really matters too much. He has so much heal in his deck.
Ancient of Lore is even more, so you can do, what, 13 points of heal with an Ancient of Lore Healing Touch combo? It's one option.
We calculated that yesterday. He actually has 42 points of heal in his deck.
That's insane.
Yeah. He's got 2 Healing Touches, 2 Antique-Heal Bots, so that's 32 by itself. And then he also has 2 Ancient of Lores that could also be used to heal, so 42 points of heal. So even just at the beginning of the game, he's already, if he can draw through his whole deck and the game gets to fatigue, he has 72 effective health. And that doesn't even include, that's if he doesn't hero power at all.
Does Chakki run double Light of the Naru?
I don't think
it
so.
might just be 1.
Yeah.
So he's got 8 points of heal. Obviously a lot less than the Druid, but it's worth taking account of. So picking up the Ancient of Lore is actually pretty good for Chakki, because it does give him a little bit of extra heal. And it may come down to it. It may be crucial.
He might want to Ancient of Lore this turn. Even though he'll waste 1 point of the heal, he needs a body out.
You also might Grove Tender.
Mm-hmm.
I think Grove Tender is probably the play here. I don't mind Ancient of Lore, as you say. Or even, yeah. Is he just going to play all 3?
He's going to use it as burst. That's pretty funny.
Wow. Yeah, the Ancient of Lore combining with the Okanai Soul Priest.
Yep, and here comes the Poison Seed Starfall, and he's already drawn to quite a bit of his heal. Chakki is quickly running out of cards, or sorry, the Force of Nature, and oh my goodness.
Double Volcanic Lumber? Yeah, there we go.
This combination, the Poison Seeds, Force of Nature, effectively usually makes free Volcanic Lumbers, because not only are the first targets dying, the first 3 targets, also the tree and the spawn are dying.
Off the top! The second Shadow or Death!
Okay, well at this point it's not really off the top, because he has like 4 cards left. So it's actually pretty unlucky that it took him that long to draw into the second. Yeah, 4 cards left he has.
8 left for Tides, 4 left for Chakki. But yeah, so we pretty much have to see double Shadow or Death here.
Mm-hmm. All the rest of his cards are situational, though.
Yeah, he has nothing. He has Light of the Naru.
He might want a double Starfall and Shadow or Death. Oh no, double Shadow or Death. These are probably the highest health above targets he'll get. So double Shadow or Death. He'll still have Starfall for Ancient of Lore that he knows is going to come out. Oh man. Yeah, so he's gonna hit fatigue 4 turns sooner than Tides of Time.
Oh, this is rough. I can't see any way Chakki's gonna win this at this point. There's just no cards in his hand really that are useful apart from Light of the Naru. He's probably gonna Starfall this Keeper of the Grove.
Actually, Akanai Soul Priest might be the only way that he wins. If he can put consistent damage on Chakki, or sorry, on Tides, and put him on a clock, then he can win.
He can, yeah.
Yeah, so he's gonna heal first. That indicates. That sort of indicates that he wants to play Akanai Soul Priest. That he healed first to get it out of the way. But he actually passes.
I'm not sure I agree with that. Yeah. There's going to be no use for Innervate, really.
So Tides is thinking to his head right now, what cards does he have left? He knows he has 2 Thought Zone cards left. If he's been paying attention, he knows Shadow Madness is a thing. So that's why he didn't go ahead and play the Ancient Allure there, because he just didn't want it to get Shadow Madness in.
But both the Thought Zone cards are Starfall.
That's actually not too bad, because it gives him more removal.
Yeah.
Tides has to draw into
Ancient of Lore.
Tides has to draw into removal here, or else this Light of the of Naru.
Oh, there's removal.
Yeah, but
you have the hero power into it as well.
No, he'd remove the Light Warden.
Yeah. Okay. Trying to think if there's any. He can do enough damage to kill both. Because he can only go up to 3 with Savage or Hero Power.
So what can Tides of Time do to win? Has he used both Poison Seeds?
Yes. Maybe? I don't know. Who knows? He's going to Savage or to kill the Light Warden. Does pick up Swipe as well. And that's going to be useful to help him kill off this Blade Master. Recombobulator. I'm trying to think. He's got 1 card left, Chakki, in his deck.
I think Chakki may win. Tides doesn't have any creatures left. He's got 1 card left, but Tides I think only has 2 cards left. So he's narrowed that gap. He does have more points of healing, but there's a body on the board that he can't deal with. He's gonna have to Starfall Swipe it this turn just to survive. His Innervates are just dead cards right now. He's going to have to use both Innervates. He can anti-Keelbot here. Anti-Keelbot, double Innervate, Starfall Swipe. No, he's not going to do that. Okay. That's a pretty bold move.
Yeah.
Alright, so out of cards. What is the last card? Injured Blade Master. See, it's a creature. This is actually really good.
So he has quite a lot of bodies he can put down here.
Tides can do 3 points of AoE damage. plus 4 on 1.
This is rough.
I'm trying to think what Tides has left in this Mildred deck. I think we can rule out Tree of Life.
Since we haven't seen it at all.
We haven't seen it at all, and we've been through
nearly recombobulator, Shadow Madness recombobulator combo.
Yeah. That's about the only use he'll ever find. Oh, he gets the
oh my god!
Mercenary. Oh man.
Is that the highest attack?
Almost out of cards. Poison Seeds!
Second Poison Seeds. Poison Seeds Starfall!
Oh my goodness. So he hadn't used second Poison Seeds left. So I'm trying to think what the only card left in his deck is. It might be Wrath. It might be second Wrath.
I think he's used both Wraths.
So Chakki is hit Fatigue. Tides hits Fatigue next turn.
Is it next turn?
Yeah, he has one card left in his deck.
Oh man.
So Chakki might win this. If he throws out his Injured Blade Master here, puts a body on the board, he can race him by doing an extra 5 damage per turn with Akanai, as long as Akanai doesn't have anything to remove it. Chakki's trying to think, what removal does he have left? He's thinking, what have I been through? How many cards have I been through? He's guessing. If he's been paying close attention, he knows that one swipe is left. So he's thinking, if I throw an Injured Blade Master and just heal it up, it dies to swipe hero power, then the only creature I have left to win is Akanai Soul Priest. Am I safe? Am I safe to play it? Tides of Time is going to be 1 fatigue damage off, and he's effectively 3 health ahead.
This is insane. So he's going to go for the Akanai instead and just try and do that consistent damage each turn. Final card is Grove Tender. So he can kill this here. He can make Chakki draw another card.
Chakki wins. There's not a way that Tides can.
Yeah.
The Injured Blade Master will trade in. He can heal it up the following turn. Even though he's 1 fatigue behind, he still wins. Innervate's a dead card in the hand. Grove Tender won't stand up to the Injured Blade Master.
Yeah, so this is going to be it. Chakki is going to take this game here. He's not going to be able to play the Shadow Madness, but
he still has to think here. What cards are left? He's only seen 1 Grove Tender. He's only seen 1 Innervate. Has he been keeping track of the cards? He's thinking, am I safe to play this Injured Blade Master? This Injured Blade Master is my last line of defense. Even if both players had no creatures and Chakki was 1 fatigue ahead, or 1 fatigue behind, would his hero... Their hero powers would negate each other, because he'd be gaining 2 health. Tides would be gaining 1 health. That's it.
Alright, well the Grove Tender is going to come out and... Does he go for the draw here and just make Chakki... Yeah, he's going to make Chakki go 1 deeper.
He also makes himself go 1 deeper.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Well, he has to trade in here. And I don't... With the 4 extra damage a turn, I don't think there's a way. He's taking 4 fatigue damage, so that's going to start ramping up really quickly. He's got to calculate. If he kills the Grove Tender this turn, and then heals up his Injured Blade Master, he's going to be at 12 the next turn. He dies in... He takes 6 and then 7, so that's 13. He'll have 15 effective health. He'll die in 3 turns. So he'll need to kill Tides in 3 turns after this one. Tides will take 4 damage this next turn.
What about the option
up to 20? Take 5 the next turn, plus 11.
What if you Shadow Madness the Grove Tender to put more damage into face and then kill it next turn?
If you're gonna Shadow Mat, yeah, that might be the better play.
I think that might be the way to go.
But he needs, before he makes that play, he needs to debate on which card is the last one in his deck. If he's not sure what it is, going for the Shadow Madness play is too risky. So I think he did the math and realized that he's won. So 3 fatigue damage. Chakki's going to be at 11. He can heal himself back up to 13. He dies in 2 turns. Actually, we may have had that wrong. Oh my god, there's so much math!
So you can heal himself up to 13, put Tides down to 17.
He only has 2 turns left. No,
Yeah,
he can't win.
I don't think... Oh, this is so rough.
I give up.
So Tides is down to 13. He puts Chakki down to 12. I think Tides has got it.
6 damage.
He dies next turn.
He dies next turn no matter what.
There's
That's
no
it.
way.
Tides.
That's it.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Oh, the players can't believe it. We can't believe it.
I think if he shouted him at us, would have made a difference.
No, because he would have been because Tides would still have had 3 health.
No, because he would have done an extra 4 damage that turn with his injury.
Oh, yeah, he would have done extra 6. So it would have done it because he would have.
Because he had 6 health. Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's what he needed to do to win.
Wow.
He needed to Shadow Madness that Grove Tender and attack. He needed to not be afraid of the final card. I'd say one of the things that I think a lot of players might have done is just throw out that Innervate because it's a dead draw. You might as well just play it. But Tides holding on to it is that great psychology, that great mind game of holding on to that extra card and your opponent not then knowing what you had. Oh my god. TJ, recap what just happened for the people because I don't know what's going on.
Okay. Basically, a lot of math. And apparently Chakki did his math wrong. And Tides did his math correctly. That was so close, though. If he had Shadow Madness, I'm pretty sure that would have done it, because he was left with 6 health at the end after that last fatigue damage.
Which is exactly as much damage as the Keeper plus the Grove Tender attack. He would have died. In fact, he would have only had... He only needed to do 5 more damage, because he wouldn't have been able to armor up after taking that last fatigue. So he was 5 health away from dying Tides of Time. Oh, if Chakki had done that 6 damage with the Shadow Madness, it would have been the win. That's rough. So, recouping a little bit here, Tides has the Control Warrior left, and Chakki has the Priest and the Grim Patron Warrior. And Chakki's switching to the Grim Patron Warrior. So, it's going to be this Warrior Mirror match. We don't know if Tides has also teched in the Double Brawl. We will see. But I'm really reeling from those last 2 matchups were just insane. The Freeze Mage versus beating the Mildred, and then the Mildred Priest. Oh my god. What an insane series.
I'm done. I'm burnt. I was trying to do the math there at the end, and I was thinking, I don't know if there's any way that... Like, usually in a fatigue war, even if one player is ahead, if one player has a creature and the other doesn't, usually the player with the creature wins. But just because they're doing that much extra damage per turn, the fatigue doesn't have time to ramp up enough. But I think that last card psyched Chakki out. I think that last card, he was worried, what is that card? What could that card possibly be? If I don't remove this Grove Tender, am I going to be in trouble? Is he going to have a creature? He was afraid that was something that was going to buff it up. That's the only explanation I can think of why he wouldn't go for Shadow Madness and get that 2 extra damage while he still could. Because if you think about it, if Tides was to clear... If the Grove Tender goes back at the end of turn, if Tides was to clear off the Injured Blade Master, I don't know. It's really tough to say. It's really tough to say.
I mean, if Tides was then going to clear the Injured Blade Master, he would have taken an extra 4 damage, and he definitely would have died.
No, but then he was a point ahead, and he'd be doing an extra damage per turn with his own hero power, and also there would be no creature on the board for Chakki. So I don't know if that would have even won. I'm gonna rewatch the VOD later, and I'll try and do a little bit more analysis on it because we don't really have time to think about it because we're about to move into the next match. But even the Shadow Madness play might not have won because Tides could have cleared off the injured. No, because he could have healed up his own Injured Blade Master. Out of range. Yeah. That game has just got me reeling right now. I don't even know.
Well, I mean, let's look at this, TJ. Moving away from that game and looking at the macro picture here. This is our 4th series of the day. It's gone to Game 6. We thought Chakki was in a really unfavored position when Tides went down to that Druid and Control Warrior left when he got those first 2 wins. But it's very possible that Chakki, the comeback is on here. He needs to win 2 games against the Control Warrior, which are going to be really tough. But we're staring down the prospect here of a 4th 7-game series today.
Wow, the round of 4 has...
We have earned our packs that we get paid in.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just shows how close these players are, though.
Oh man, yeah, that's very true. And both these guys are so hungry for the win at this point. You could see Chakki was just, I mean, and the tilt factor as well, the momentum. These best of 7 series are grueling, and these guys have already played one today. And you sort of get an emotional attachment to your decks, okay? And when one of your decks lets you down, you get really disappointed in it, and it can hurt you. It's like you're a parent, okay? Chakki is the proud mother of 4 beautiful decks. And one of his decks just severely disappointed him right now. Imagine if you were a parent and one of your children just got fatigued to death. Wouldn't you be sad? It really would hurt your momentum. And that's what happens to Chakki. It's a really grim analogy, but it's just what happens to these players in these best of 7 series. So
you're right. I'm still reeling from that last game as well, and I know these players have to be as well. Yeah. It's such a tough game, so marginal to pick yourself back up from, and to reset yourself for this new matchup here.
Yeah. The good thing about Hearthstone, though, especially Conquest, is that unlike real life, you can actually revive your decks. Or
you can't revive your decks in this Conquest. It's 4 decks.
Well, revive your decks when they lose.
For the next game, sure.
Yeah. Conquest is like the ultimate consolation trophy, you know? You know when you were younger and you'd play like sports, you get a trophy even if your team was in last place? Or you keep going until you win?
I wish Hearthstone worked like that.
Yeah.
Just everyone got prizes for taking part.
Everyone gets the legend card back at the end of the season. You know what? You tried really hard. You can get the legend card back too.
Well, I mean, I hit rank 10, and for me, that's the equivalent of hitting legend, so I should get the legend card back.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough.
I've never hit legend. I never have the time or the patience to grind it from 5. I just hit 5 every season, then stop.
You're a brave man to admit that. You're a brave man to admit that.
It's so much time. So much time.
I guess so. I guess it's my job to hit legend, so.
It's your job to be legendary?
Yeah.
You have to become legendary every season. Spokesperson of
TempoStorm.com.
Become legendary.
No, I only wish I was George Magazzini.
Maybe I should get George and Dan to help me become legendary for the first time.
You should. You should hire their services. Well, there is a game going on. My brain is still reeling from.
Our brains are fried.
But we've seen this matchup a couple times today: Control Warrior versus Grim Patient Warrior, and it doesn't bode so well for the Grim Patient Warrior. Usually, you look at it on paper and you think, oh well, it seems like the Grim Patient Warrior would have a great time because they can bounce their combos off of some low health creatures that are on the other side, like Armor Smith, or like the second iteration of Sludge Belcher, or Acolytes of Pain. And they have Whirlwind effects too, so sometimes their cards can work against them. But how it works out usually is the Control Warrior just gains obscene amounts of health, enough to where even the combos can't really take them down. And as long as they draw brawl, there we go, in a timely manner, in order to deal with that first Grim Patron push, they should be in a good spot. But of course, Grim Patron Warrior is a combo deck. Even though combo decks are inconsistent, they can still pull wins out of anywhere. They can pull wins out of places where the sun don't shine. So,
and we saw Chakki pull a win from the Freeze Mage against the Mildred, so he certainly things seem to be going in his favor in the last couple of matches, apart from the very, very slow, very, very harsh end to that Priest Mildred game. But if anyone can get lucky here, it's going to be Chakki. I say he does need to get lucky with his. He can actually mill Tides here. And why not? So Tides is going to burn a card. I'm having flashbacks.
Chakki is he wants revenge, is basically what's happening here. He's saying, you know what? Screw your Mildred deck. Making me... See, that game was just an all-around disappointment for Chakki. Because one, he was playing Priest. Which, if you know Chakki, he's an aggressive player. he doesn't. I think this might be the first tournament that he's brought Priest to. He doesn't like to play those slow matchups very often.
What was he said about Priest?
He used to coin himself to be like the aggro player.
What is he said he'd rather die than play Priest in a tournament.
Yeah, a long time ago, yeah.
And look how much he has changed, but this is tough here. He's going to Battle Rage for one card. Warstone Commander is not what he needs.
Well, it is what he needs, just maybe not right now.
Well, yeah, it's what he needs in the long run, but not to deal with a Sylvanas. I mean, the only way to deal with a Sylvanas here is run the Belcher in, execute, and then use your Fiery War Axe to kill the 1/2 slime that gets stolen.
Yeah.
That's the only way to kill the Sylvanas.
You're just going to ignore it for now. Which might come back to haunt him, but I don't think there's really a rush to kill it, just because he's not in any immediate danger. And he doesn't have a clean way to do it. But Dr. Boom's going to come out. This is such a tough card to deal with.
Boom.
Dr. Boom can work against you, though.
So many cards.
Double execute? I mean, it's okay. You can kill off the... So, throw the slime into the boom.
Double execute.
But then you're not doing anything. You're not developing anything. What it does do is leave boom bots open next turn for you to combo your Grim Patron Warriors off of. So he does have the cards that he needs in his deck to be able to use this board to his advantage.
Oh, he's actually not going to use the execute. He's just going to finish off this Fiery War Axe. Yeah. Which is fine when he's got the second in hand.
If Tides is smart, he plays Baron Geddon or a Taunt. But it's hard to pass up an opportunity to do Rag.
Yeah, absolutely.
To do Rag. Boom.
Yeah, you're right about the Baron Geddon. I actually I do kind of like the Geddon play there because you do the bot damage directly to
Actually,
face.
no, just kidding. That was a really dumb thing to say. Don't Baron Geddon, because then he plays Grim Patron Warrior and he automatically gets at least one more.
I don't mind it. I think why not? He's gonna Grim Patron anyway. He's gonna get the procs off the boom bots. I say just maximize your face damage and then if you get the boom bots to face, if they do even 6 damage, and then you can get Rag into Cruel Taskmaster Execute, or even if you will, don't really have anything better to activate the Gromash. Unfortunately, if you had a turn 9 activator for Gromash, actually might have worked out quite well.
Wow,
that worked out pretty well.
That's really rough, and that, to be honest, it might close out the game. He has to take that much damage to face. He's got Cruel Taskmaster and Grom in his hand. He doesn't have enough mana to use it yet, but he's only 1 turn away. All he has to do is Death Spite face here, and I mean it's basically game over. Yeah, this might be the end for Chakki, despite taking a win with Freeze Mage in what seemed to be a near impossible matchup in Nil Druid, despite being 1 turn away from winning with Priest against that very same Mill Druid. He's not going to make it out alive. No, I think this is it. Unfortunately, I think Tides of Time is going to be a champion. It's going to be our only non-7 game series today. I just don't see any way. There's nothing Chakki can do. You can armor up here. He does 12 yeah. All he has to do is attack with Deathbite first to make sure that the bombs don't come down and hit the Grom before he can attack. And that is going to do it. Tides, a small smile sneaks across. Doesn't even need to attack with the Death Spite. He can just hit with the Pilot Shredder and then Gromash Cruel Taskmaster. Yeah. Doesn't even have to risk the Boombots. Yeah. Even if the Boombots somehow did 9 damage each to his face. Tides is usually a player that can never really pass up a chance for some juicy BN, but when you win a tournament, does it respectfully. Congratulations to Tides of Time. Your King Go In for Charity Easter Edition 2015 champion,